Alabama made an MTV Crib-style video showing off their ludicrously opulent football facilities.
One of the best features, I think, of the locker room is the hydrotherapy area. We have in there a hot tub and a cold tub, and I use the term tub, but really they're pools.
Okay, I never thought I'd say this, but Alabama, stop showing off your ostentatious wealth, okay? and the crazy thing is, it is not just buildings that schools spend money on.
Mississippi State coach Dan Mullen was just given a raise, pushing his salary to $4 million a year.
$7 million a year for the next 8 years. That's Alabama coach Nick Saban's new deal.
University of Kentucky announced a $52 million 7-year contract extension with head basketball coach John Calipari.
Ongoing research shows that NCAA-membered universities are spending about 6 to 12 times more money on athletics than they are on academics. According to research conducted by the NCAA research team, median athletic spending at a SEC school was about $164,000, or roughly 12 times the $13,000 the SEC schools spent per student on academic costs. The amount of money that this study suggests goes to athletics begs the question of where all that money goes within an athletic department. As a group, we decided to look into what expenditures look like within athletic departments by asking UC Riverside Athletic Director Tamika Smith-Jones where that money goes.
I think the university funds would be best utilized, first in scholarships, and secondly is where I've kind of been able to, try to push funding toward, and that's the student-athlete experience.
After hearing where Tamika prioritizes her money here at UCR, we wanted to know what students on campus thought about where the money within the athletic department goes. So we asked them, where do you think the athletic department spends their money?
I think the money goes towards the coaches, maybe scholarships, equipment, probably maintenance or something. I don't really know.
I think universities spend money on athletics by they either spend it on their the equipment for the sport, or paying the coaches, and I guess I don't know, stuff like that.
I think the athletics department spends most of their money on the coach's salary because they train the athletes.
In April of 2013, D.L. Folks published an article looking at the revenues and expenditures of universities across the country. In the report, Folks graphs the median of college coaches' salaries. It is shown in the graphs that the average salary for football coaches in 2012 was almost $1.6 million, while coaches in less popular sports like soccer only received $160,000. This report serves to show the unfair gap between different athletic programs and how different programs spend their revenue. Researchers J.J. Cheslock and D.B. Knight describe a model that highlights the unsustainability in intercollegiate athletics as a whole in an article that was published in 2015. The article goes into detail about the small number of institutions that actually make a profit when it comes to college athletics. These institutions are spending huge amounts of money that then start a trickle-down effect, initiating competing universities that do not make a profit to spend similar amounts of money on their athletic programs. These schools then start to see growing deficits in expenditures, putting these athletic departments in a hole. In the report titled College Sports 101, A Primer in Money, Athletics, and Higher Education in the 21st Century, the Knight Commission cited two critical spending issues that exist in NCAA Division I college athletics. The first critical issue is the imbalance of rapidly increasing expenditures versus slower moving revenues. At the FBS level, many athletic departments often outpace revenue streams as they spend extensively on coaches' salaries, facility upgrades, and varsity sport operations. As illustrated in the Center for College Affordability and Productivity report, there are 100 FBS programs that operated at a deficit with a median loss of $8.9 million per athletic program. Although universities are spending more money on athletics than on academics, they are required to provide academic support services to the college athletes. Spending in the support services department can take many different forms, as Tamika Smith-Jones described in her interview.
As a director, how I ensure, and I think it's a lot of my responsibility, is first thing that I can do is hire great people to help you in the academic support, unit, help you from a coaching standpoint, because if you hire coaches that are not as focused on the academic side, they're more focused on the X's and O's, then it's going to be a challenge for, you know, my student athletes. So hiring probably is the best thing that I can do. From that standpoint, I think providing resources, which we've enhanced a lot of resources since I've been here. We've gotten more engaged with resources first that are already on this campus. So the Academic Resource Center, you know, and you know the story. When I came, we were in the basement of Hinderacker.
The basement of Hinderacker that Tamika describes was where all of the academic services were located. The small, cramped area that had no natural lighting was a dungeon, according to Tamika. With more funding and reallocation of money, she moved the academic support services to a new building. Capstone researcher and author James W. Bately of the University of Kentucky's Martin School of Public Policy studied the expenditure data of NCAA Division I schools in reference to the provisions of student-athlete academic services. Drawing from a sample of 22 schools, this data was then compared to the academic performance of student-athletes. Furthermore, the data was next measured up against the standard mandate of the Academic Progress Rate, or APR. What was found was the relationship between schools that spend higher levels of money on athlete academic services and the academic performance of their athletes. Those who did not spend as much money were unable to show significant increases in academic performance. Athletic Director Tamika Smith-Jones relates to this finding when reminiscing of the Hinderacker basement.
I went into Hinderacker first time, I was just like, it was like when I went into the locker room.
Yeah.
I mean, just, I was outdone. Like, so let me make sure I understand. That's my favorite verse right there. Let me make sure I understand. The student athletes come off our beautiful sunny campus and they come down in this dungeon and they study. Okay. How is that working out for our, 4.0 GPAs and things that we should be able to do?
Tamika is not the only athletic director moving her academic support services department into a newer building. In an article by Brad Wolverton, the facility's arms race in college sports has a new frontier, and it's the academic support services. In conclusion, some reforms and solutions that we have come up with as a group have been decided after extensive research on other places the money can be allocated. If universities decrease their coaching salaries, they could start to invest the money in different scholarly activities for athletes. These can include job fairs, workshops, and different networking opportunities. Not only can the money be used for scholarly activities, but the money could also be allocated towards medical plans for the athletes.